Bigger Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Justin Stoddard, and man, I'm excited about today's episode. Before I get into introducing today's guest, let me talk about my mission, which is to help you grow so that your business can follow suit. I know that when your business grows, an amazing thing happens. Your life gets more and better options, and you have a greater impact in the lives of other people. So today's topic is something that the sports world and really the world in general is still buzzing about, which is Damian Lillard's his entire game, but his shot from 37 feet away to win the game against the Oklahoma City Thunder has, again, Blazer fans still in absolute pandemonium. And it has those of us that are students of high performance trying to learn from that and be like Damian. So today I have with me a good friend of mine, someone who I admire, look up to, and I really respect what he's doing, Jesse Dow. And today we're going to talk about how we can be like Damian in our businesses. So Jesse, thanks for being on the show, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm honored to be on the show. Obviously, I always talk to you and admire what you're doing. So thank you for having me on.
Yeah, for sure, man. For those that don't know Jesse, you're going to love this story. Jesse's a top producer here in the Portland market. And probably many people think because he's becoming so well known, he's been in the business for a long time. He's coming up on 2 years in the business. 2 years in the business, and he's absolutely killing it. And for those of you who kind of want to get a little taste of what Jesse's up to, what he's working on, go look at a couple places. Number one, his YouTube channel, which is Real Agent Now by Jackson Wilkie and Jesse Dow. Real Agent Now. You're going to see some crazy quality and quantity of videos that are just creating a standard for agents in this area and around the country. Well done, man. And then also your Facebook group, Digital Mayor Now, which is a really cool term coined by the fantastic Gary Vaynerchuk. So anyway, Jesse, again, thanks for being on the show. Let's get into this topic of really a book that you and I read together. I guess we read separately, and then I read again by Tim Grover. It's called Relentless. It's going from good to great to unstoppable. And let's talk a little bit about the game the other night because it will tie in. What did you see in Damian Lillard that had you recognizing him as being unstoppable?
Yeah, I think the thing that I recognize, and I think everyone else recognizes, he had an ultimate goal, and that goal was to obviously win. And he stayed focused on that, and it didn't matter what it took. He was set out to accomplish that goal, and then he made it happen.
I was impressed at halftime. I tweeted out, like, Dame's got 32 points. I was amazed. And oftentimes when people have that kind of first half, their second half is lackluster, right? Like they kind of put in the work. They just squeeze a lot of points into one half. But you're exactly right. Like, his aim was not to have a big first half. He was not going to stop until he won. And,
absolutely.
I've been a Jordan fan my entire life. And it was actually after that game that I said, I think Damian Lillard just became my all-time favorite basketball player because I've never seen somebody close a game out like that with such audacity. And it was impressive nonetheless for sports fans as well as for guys like you and I who get after it in the business space as well.
Yeah, and I think he even talked about it in some of the game 1, 2, and 3, and is basically I don't celebrate or I don't get excited until we've won this series. It isn't about the single games; it's about my ultimate common goal, and that's to keep moving forward in the progression of the playoffs, ultimately with a championship.
This book that you and I read called Relentless. It's authored by a guy by the name of Tim Grover. And he, for those that aren't familiar with the book, Jesse and I are going to go into it a little bit today. But the concept behind it is this guy, Tim Grover, was the coach or trainer of Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, to name a few, some of the all-time best players and toughest, those were the toughest mindset, absolute ice in their veins, assassins when it came to closing out a game. They're just unbelievable. And they all sought out this trainer to help give them not just a physical edge, but I was impressed as I reviewed the book again, how much emphasis he puts on the mindset. That anybody can have great physical set, but that's not what separates people, right? There's a lot of people that could hit a 37-foot step away 3-pointer, but it was Dame's mindset to be able to do it with time running out, when he could have very easily probably penetrated in the lane and scored, an easy 2 or a quick jumper. He chose to do it in a pretty audacious manner. And to me, he became absolutely relentless. As of course have the people like, again, Jordan and Kobe and Charles Barkley and some of the other what Tim Grover refers to as closer. So Jesse, will you help define the difference as Tim Grover, the author, lays out? There's 3 different categories of performers. Do you remember what those are?
Yeah, so there's the cooler. That's someone that's just basically liked, it's fun, exciting, executes at a high level, but would probably stab you in the back given the opportunity. Then there's the closer, that's someone that's very respected, always shows up in those clinch game time decisions. Someone I would probably relate to is like LeBron James. And I never knew the differences until I really read this book. And then there's the cleaner. It's someone that's, feared and respected for doing what they say they're going to set out to do, and then they don't really talk about it that much. They just keep moving forward with that same mindset to the very end. And someone that I now can relate to is like Jordan, Kobe, Dame, and the list, Dwayne Wade. And these people are sometimes aren't even like the all-stars that you see that they are, but what they can do is elevate the whole team.
Yeah, there's a different mindset. It's interesting you say that because, again, LeBron is probably known as number 1 or number 2 best basketball players of all time. But I would agree with you. His mindset is not one of a cleaner, right? The cleaner is someone who's feared and goes into a totally separate zone when the game's on the line. And I think Dame put himself in that category of being a cleaner, more so than LeBron ever has.
Absolutely, yeah.
Let me talk about this, Jesse. When you look for people to do business with, right? You chose obviously somebody like you who's got the same hunger. How important is it, whether that person be a closer or not? How important is it to surround yourself with other people that are that inspire you to do great things?
To me, it's 100% about alignment. I know I've talked to you about this. Like, my ultimate vision is to create a business model where I just have agents working around me that are all basically cleaners, right? We will have to have those role players involved when the business gets so big that we need those specific roles, right? But to surround myself with people now, it's extremely important. I have a business coach that's real estate related. He's out of Arizona, fantastic guy. He has his own group, 20,000 people plus in there. And then I also have a personal coach that really helps me with my mind. And I do read a business book each week and a mind book because it is consistently like growing your mind. And like, sometimes this business can be, exhausting. But yeah, to me, it's 100% about finding the right people, aligning yourself with that. And at the end of the day, it is about you making that happen. You can't wait for anyone else to make it happen.
I love it, which is a perfect segue, Jesse, into we're going to go through the 5 points that Tim Grover outlines in his book, Relentless. Point number 1 was take responsibility. How does that show up for you in the real estate world? For those that are listening that are real estate agents, most of the audience is. How does taking responsibility show up for you?
Yeah, taking responsibility to me is about being responsible for my production, my days. If an issue happens, it's never blaming anyone. You're the ultimate gatekeeper into whatever's going on, say with a transaction and something might come about. Just knowing that you have the options to, kind of guide your clients and the process through, and just being the ultimate responsible person to know that you control those actions.
I love it. All too often people quickly look around to see who was at fault. Wasn't me, right? Whereas a cleaner, right, kind of the upper echelon of performers, those that are unstoppable, they're looking to say, no, that's all me. It's all on me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's my fault.
Yep.
And I'm sure if Dame would have scored 47 points and missed the last shot, he would have taken on himself like that was my bad. Or even if someone else would have taken the last shot, he still would have said it like that was me. I'm the team. I should have done that. And I think you're right. There's a correlation between those that are cleaners and those that say, nope, I'll take complete responsibility for that. So awesome. Let's talk about excuses. Point number 2 that Tim brings up is drop your excuses. Is it easy to have excuses in real estate?
Yeah, it's very easy to do it. And I think he makes a really good point in the book where he says, like, everyone is granted the same opportunities. Some people do have a lot, say connections or other, different people that can help them get there. But, everyone has the opportunities. And if you are saying everything, but, Jesse's awesome, but, it's because X, Y, and Z, it's because I'm going out and actually doing the hard work to get myself in that position.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are just scared or just don't want to put in the effort to make it happen.
That's going to be a great segue into a future point as well, but you're right. How many people have I spoken with that say, the missing component is in my business is this. And I asked, well, when is this going to happen? And it's like, well, I've been really busy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, busy with what? Like, did you sleep more than 7 hours last night? Did you sleep more than 6 hours? Like, if you really want to get something done, to be unstoppable, you have to pay the price.
Mm-hmm.
And there can't be excuses. You have to start to eliminate everything that you say is keeping you from success has to go away. Either you have to stop talking about it, and or you have to actually move it out of the way so that you can get the things done and get the life that you want.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I know we talked about this before, but there are sacrifices no matter what you do in life. And I think when you talk about these cleaners in the book and whatnot, they might not have the greatest social life. Their social circle cuts down because you have to cut some of those people out of your life as you go on. Even family members. I just listened to a podcast the other day and he was talking about that same thing. And it's there are going to be sacrifices that come along the way, but what sacrifices are you willing to make to create your greatest results of what you really want inside?
Yeah. Well, I think that if you look at some of the people who have made the greatest impact on the world, in the business world, and I'm sure in other places, it wasn't a popularity contest for them. There was an inner hunger and an inner drive that drove them to do some crazy stuff, put in some crazy hours, and pay a price that others weren't willing to pay. And I think if you're wired that way, and I know Jesse and I are, don't be ashamed of it. And I'm not saying you should put things above family or the things, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that maybe called Game of Thrones. Anyway, I don't know, right? I'm not a Game of Thrones guy. Anytime I get somebody saying on their social media feed of hey, can you please give me a recommendation of what series I should watch on Netflix? I'm like, I cannot relate to that. I canceled my Netflix because it was wasting too much time. I've got some really ambitious goals, and it was too compelling. I didn't want it, right? So now I do watch an occasional sports game, and I'm not downplaying anybody that watches Netflix because I would probably have nobody listening if that's actually what I was trying to do. But there are some things in life that you need to be okay giving up, and again, that shouldn't be family, but it should be maybe some recreation. If you don't like the situation that you're in, then get rid of some rec time or some downtime or some Netflix time and fix it, right? Change it. You can change it.
Yeah,
anyway,
absolutely.
Get off my soapbox. Point number 3, stop looking for secrets, tricks, or shortcuts. We live in a society of people looking for the magic bullet, don't we?
Oh, 100%. And this is actually funny because we were at the same event the other day, the Don Hobbs event, which was fantastic. And the one thing that he said that really stuck with me was that, anyone that's looking for all these quick fixes, in real estate or leads and things like that, he's like, all these people are really saying is that they're looking for a job. And I was like, that made so much sense to me. I'm like, yeah, they are. They're not looking to create a business. They're just looking to plug and play. They probably left a, decently paying job to come into something else, realize it's all this work. And now they're just looking for some quick income. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really interesting. I actually didn't catch that he said that, but I love that you pointed that out. I think I missed that point. Cause you're right. If you want to build a brand, right, which I think every real estate agent should be doing right now, of
100%.
highly focused on building a brand. It takes a lot of work, right? You're right. Yeah. It's the opposite of buying leads, where you're being spoon-fed stuff from Zillow and some of these other partners, which maybe it's quick money, right? Maybe not, but maybe it's quick money. But guess what? You're always going to be on the dole, right? It's like being on welfare. At the end of the day, you're going to have to be able to fend for yourself, because as soon as that plug pulls and potentially, right, Zillow becomes an agent. Now what are you going to do, right? Kind of like when Realtor.com, so many people were totally tied to Realtor.com. They changed their model to where they're not selling leads anymore. And it was some people were really hurting. And some of my clients were really hurting. And again, I don't fault them, but hopefully we take that as a lesson to say, how about we build a brand where people come to you as opposed to you just standing at the bread line,
Yeah. One thing I can proudly say is I have never spent a dime on a lead.
Dang.
And like I've spent all my money on brand building, and yeah, we have ran Facebook ads to like boost open houses and that type of things. But we weren't actively like going out to do that to build to do lead capturing. But yeah, we've spent so much time and effort on creating our brand, which now we've really seen like engage, and it's a lot of hard work. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like we spend, I'd say 14 to 20 hours a day, but a lot of it we can do like, on our phones and whatnot. But yeah, there is no shortcuts. And building your brand is the absolute most important thing. Cause I talked about this before, is that say your brokerage sold out tomorrow and you didn't like the company, or you weren't a good fit for them, you need to be able to take your stuff to go to another brokerage and still have that brand unity across all platforms. Because if it's the brokerage that's being highlighted in everything, that's the only person that the clients are getting to know.
Yeah, it's a great point.
You're the person that they're hiring. It isn't, trust me, it isn't the brokerage.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. People choose people. Point number 4 is do the work. Which again, you've already talked about, but I know for you, putting out the quantity and quality of the videos that you guys do, every time I see something come through, I'm like behind each one of those 5-minute videos, 5 to 10-minute videos, like you guys are putting out. How much real work is going in behind that?
We have a pretty strict schedule now of the way that we do it. So we'll go out and shoot one day. And probably it's we'll end up with about an hour of content if we do like a 5-city series. And then we'll break that down into like a single video for each city or area. It doesn't matter. But Jackson probably spends, I don't know, man, a lot of time editing those videos. And I will say though, like, this is like our ultimate vision, like why we are the greatest partnership on the planet. Like I couldn't be more thankful to like have somebody like him that came on board, and like, that's his ultimate passion. My ultimate passion is really real estate. But yeah, he spends endless hours creating that content, but it is awesome. Like the results have been great. The feedback has been fantastic. So one video, going back to my question, how many hours of effort is that taking you? I would say to do a 5-city series and filming and everything all in with his efforts and mine, we're probably looking at maybe 30 hours. So
30 hours for a series like that.
Yeah.
How do you fit that into a 40-hour work week? If you don't, right? It extends beyond that.
Oh yeah. So with our, like I said, we have a strict schedule of shooting. So we'll do like 4 hours on, say, like a Thursday. And then Jackson edits it pretty much at night, like from say 6 o'clock at night till 11 o'clock at night. So he's spending a lot of time after hours doing the editing piece.
Which is our last point. Great segue into this is push yourself, right? In fact, a quote from the book: every day you have to do something you don't want to do. Every day, challenge yourself to be uncomfortable, push past the apathy and laziness and fear. Couldn't have said it better myself, that to get to uncommon levels, you have to do uncommon things. To be not just good, but great, not just be great, but be unstoppable.
Yeah.
You've got to be willing to pay a price and push yourself beyond what's comfortable.
Oh yeah. I used to, and I still get it, and I finally figured this out with like my life coach, is I get this little bit of anxiety, and I was like, what? Like, I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And I figured it out that it's actually like a piece of fear that I had. And I was like, once I figured that out, it's been like awesome, because I can like really change my mindset or just execute the thing that like made me a little fearful. But yeah, I mean, every single day I'm pushing myself to like go out and do things I don't want to do. I still have to do the hustle work. I'm only 1 year, almost 2 years in. It's not like people are calling the phone and hitting me up every day with like all this business I'm doing. Like I'm still hitting the phones for sale by owner, expireds, open houses, things like that. So yeah, there's a lot of hustle work that it's not like I'm loving loving to do it.
Yeah.
But if you want the business, yeah.
On top of a very active prospecting plan and an awesomely successful business, you're putting in all this extra work to build the brand.
Oh yeah. That's our ultimate goal. I mean, we have huge goals.
Well, you, my friend, it's a pleasure to surround myself with a cleaner like yourself. I'm inspired by what you're doing, and it's super fun to be a small part of that. So, thank you for coming on the show today and pouring into the Think Bigger audience and helping all of us think bigger about what's possible. And hopefully we've inspired some people to embrace the cleaner tendencies within them and go make the world a bigger place, a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely just recommend checking the book out. If you haven't read it, it's amazing. It's changed a lot of things that I think of differently, and put clarity into things too.
Yeah, I agree, man. Great stuff. And always appreciate our conversations. Excited for your future. Let me put up here on the screen really quick for those who aren't familiar with Jesse and the value that he brings to people, not just in his own business, but he and his business partner, Jackson Wilkie, have put together a Facebook group called Digital Mayor Now, which gives amazing social media content and training like all day, every day. It's just fantastic. So much from these guys. So if you're not yet a part of their group, go find it, be a part of it, and watch what happens when you start to apply and follow the path that these guys are on. So anyway, appreciate you, Jesse, very much for your time. You. And I'm sure we'll be in touch very, very soon.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much.